and proceed with the hearing of this impeachment proceedings. Thank you.
Senior Counsel Paul Mwite.
Mheshimiwa Speaker, honorable senators, we all live in Kenya, and I would like to make this submission. These gadgets we have here capture every word uttered accurately, so that if I was found tomorrow to have lied to this, and I would have thought that that fear of telling a lie to this honorable Senate, to me, is more powerful than even bringing a medical report. We've had many medical reports generated outside hospitals. We see them in courts almost on a daily basis. Mheshimiwa Speaker, you will remember the rush that was there when I was asking to be given up to 5 p.m. And it was a rush. Was I to fail to come back to this noble house at 5 p.m., waiting for a medical report when the doctors there are busy attending to their patient, the Deputy President? Medical reports I can bring. If I've told lies, that is something that can be established. And my learned friend, Mheshimiwa Honorable Orengo, talks about giving evidence from the bar. When I was learning, they are seated down when he's giving evidence from the bar about some cases filed in Malindi that I'm not aware of. Perhaps he should have given us a copy of that. Mheshimiwa Speaker, Article 145, Sub-Article 6 is clear, and I do not want to take time of this august House, Senate. Going back to it, it applies, and I would plead with you and with honorable senators to give us until Tuesday to see whether the Deputy President will be well enough. No one decides when to get sick and when not to get sick. I am sure many honorable senators here will have a story of their shock because of having spent an evening with somebody, then the following day they hear that the person is gone. Yet that person was looking good and healthy. Let's be humane. Let's be compassionate. Tuwe na utu kidogo. Tuesday, the heavens are not falling down to join with the earth. I thank you, Mheshimiwa Speaker.
Senior Counsel Paul Mwite. There is a hypothetical question that was raised by Senior Counsel Orengo. Assuming, and just an assumption, assuming the Senate is inclined to grant your client up to Tuesday, and by Tuesday, your client is unable to attend Senate, what then will be the way forward?
Mheshimiwa Speaker, I would submit the best thing is for this honorable House, honorable Senate, to make a decision on facts rather than assuming what may or may not happen. Point number one. Point number two, Mheshimiwa Speaker, is the importance of honorable senators seeing with their own eyes how a witness withstands cross-examination. There are many times when different impressions will be given by a written document. And yet, when cross-examination takes place, individuals change their minds. One can only make a decision on whether this witness is believable or not believable when they see his demeanor in person. So there's nothing to replace orality through cross-examination. There are many witnesses whose statements will be impressive, and yet when they begin to give evidence orally, that impression changes completely on the mind of the jury. The Deputy President wishes to subject himself to cross-examination, wishes under oath to deal with the evidence given adverse to him by witnesses here, so that honorable senators can have an opportunity of making a decision. Is it the Deputy President we shall believe, or is it those other witnesses? That opportunity can only come through orality and through cross-examination. So what this House elects to do, that decision, this House, Mheshimiwa Speaker, they will make on Tuesday. I am always an optimist. So I am living in the belief that the doctors may be able to put whatever is wrong with the Deputy President back in place so that he can be here on Tuesday, Mr. Speaker. If he's not here, let that decision of what this Honorable Senate will then do be made on Tuesday. That is a humane way of going about a matter about no one had control of. I thank you.
Now, honorable senators, having listened to the counsel for the Deputy President, as well as the counsel for the National Assembly, I need to consider those arguments and give my considered ruling in this matter. I will therefore suspend for 5 minutes. 5 minutes. 5 minutes, and I'll be back. Arise.
Ndizi TV, ubwansu bw'Gusii.
Ayumwanju w'egatasini kya Ndizi TV nabo gutubwate gwitira senjera y'omutandao ya www.ndizitv.net iri gutuligireria na bwigo usonje mirubiri yitwa chinsemero 24 nyaranka nabo gusonje gwitira sesimi yawe yakoboko laptop smart TV iriyo wegokie Ndizi TV obwansu bw'Gusii.
Omwanchu muliriya bwa television ya Ndizi TV mbiyemo na sukoira chinsa chao na kuliriya television yao na mbegemo yomunwa Gusii. Bono onye kubwate nganende yonsi yukwe murungania wosoko menta na bogo toikera aso twakirezimi ase namba enotisano na ibere inyisato isano nemo ibere isato isano na isato isano na ibere eyemo gose otorikireri ukorike ase email ya ndizitv@gmail.com voigo na bugo tonyora ase mitandao yaito buna Ndizi TV News Digital ensemo ya Facebook, YouTube nigotogotoka buna Ndizi TV News na voigo TikTok nigotogotoka buna Ndizi TV News na bo ogututarira sikia bisichito ekyo kirebo siobwe chiro ya embassy ekeroko genda nyakoe ase bara ekurwa Kisii kogenda Kisumu. Ndizi TV obwansu bw'Gusii.
happy Sabbath, happy day omwanju muligire begeta seni Ndizi television gukwarigania ase enchira ya bene imeyo moroberio obwansu bwe Sabbath no moroberio okoretwa ase orekera litukolia Jumamosi gochakira chinsa 12 cha mambia goikira chinsa 4 cha mambia imeyo moroberio oyo bwansu bwe Sabbath
abange tugukagera ngani ntu abanyana bo moyo tugukagera nagekora Yesu arwito ngomonto yo makare mu mugundu
yes
endagire kama paka akamanya goteba ngabona agachigotaka kubike bya ngabona moyo negoka yonko igore byage igore rinde ndia matukonsi no mona matebe omoririo yo rero nagani ubugima bwao asenjirende ngomanye n'ubugima no manene
nigo togosanga amunaye ensemo ya devotion astokonyara koba atokonyora engane mwamu egotora ase omoroberio yo
where your treasure ari asubi asibirengereri byagobire ari no onye goko mwa Yesu Kristo teko bako ngumurizio nyago koranderio omuntu nga karwense mweko
nyora boigongo swatore asa maigerio ye lesson astokonyara koba to kurigereria na koerera anene alianyare ko baga kwegwa oborito ime lesson ye chuma enkima lakini magiga ya mwanya bantu intukonyara ko batogosaria so mugondo Eden nande twarangeri wase riogi turi ororo rigotebe nga missing ayore inchwe onyara ko ba part of the family
tiyoburuti bwa Nyasaye no burunge bwaye Matayo 3:33 na byonsi na momenteru
ase entunde ya gatatu neyo mwerio igotogo soa ime ya request tower
Rumba imeburera ya rumba
wana mapangala tupatie nyama choma
kila mtu mikono juu
wana mapangala tupatie kachumbari
This is rumba nostalgia emeburera the really rumba nostalgia nege ntoko igukego so apaka the bone marrow yes what the DNA you know
kire Jumamosi chinsa 5:2 cha Mobaso goika chinsa 10 cha Marogoba na Papa Siko the Bad
Enyoni atakuwa nakuletea kila wiki Jumamosi kuanzia saa 7:30 mpaka saa 10 rumba nostalgia emeburera
rumba nostalgia
utapenda rafiki yangu
utaipenda oburimi nobonda n'umuruburyo bw'ogwesemya nakwimanya iguru y'oburimi bw'ekerero
asa abalimi bonsi imeyaliro balia Gusii nabeire ngo batebya nga oburimi nobonda nabo igo oburimi nesiro nabeire ngo gotalia imeyaliro balia Gusii tumera n'abalimi ao asto gusangana gukwana mange obonda bwensi ya Kenya nigo bokorwa ase ebimeri ao gati ebimeri ebyone kawa echae gati ebinde binge
imanye oburimi bwa mugondo obutugi bwetugo na teknolojia yekerero y'abalimi bande bagendrete gutumika na kubaletera ligesa linene na Mildred Momanyi
igombwatie imeyo moroberi bw'oburimi nobonda oyogotera butambiri tukolia maine ense mone nusugo ikachinsa 2 cha magoroba ndo chokoletera amangana mange igoro y'oburimi nande nigongo gotebya nga tekana irio tware oburimi obonene elindo onyara ko bagokora oburimi nabo gotwara ikigingege sinini kurinde okoro oburimi bosomete nande nyogotete ndagere yetio kebuya elinde linayo igwe obote bwoko yeria endagere yo niganeti egetunguo kore para igochigwerte nganyare boyekire chinsaga
oburimi nobonda Jumanne chinsa 2 cha butuko no moiroroye ritukuria Jumatano chinsa 5 cha mugaso na Mildred Momanyi
naro producer yane mbwati to ande baka somore mimbo boli na ki akora mabera yanyara ko baga gwansa iga
asegati yaito ntubwata abantu bali noborema n'abantabwa mbabwata magani yabo mbabwate byewa mbasomete na boigo mbatagitamabaga ase emirimo na kubwatisibwa ase obogima bwokera rituko
inyora oborema igoro bore inyora kerema nkerikosekwa inyora ekerema ngechiche
nakyo gekogera ase omurubirio bw'oborema ase obogima Jared Wilberforce niga gukoretera ensemo iliyotamanyiti igoro yabo
turabe tugwesemia kwemanyia na kwegokia ase amanganonsi pi ali arengete abantu baito abari no bolema ayekwarorire bagotenga
kera rituko ria Jumanne chinsa isano nemo chia mogaso no moiroro rituko ria Jumapili chinsa isato nenusu chia butuko oborema asubugima ime ya Ndizi TV.
Gendo tikerie kia sense ye buna komenya buya kebo chenu na kieko geregeta seni kya Ndizi TV tokoretero muroberio bwo komenya okuya
bwo buiga tutebe abantu abanene boka usinone muntu ndi bwensi nabako
nonye muntu ndi bwensi nonya rero iga oiso konyora kwanyorire head injury nabo konyoranga e problem ya gochire
sasa pneumonia ni infection yenye inakuja si ni infection ni kitu ni una breathe in hiyo bacteria alafu ukitibiwa inaenda inaisha kabisa so haiwezi kukua transmitted kutoka kwa mzazi ikienda kwa mtoto
kira ritko ria ijuma gochaka chinsa ibere goika chinsa ibere ne nusu chia mogoroba no semiwa manke igoro yobo chenu obwo mobero
igoro breast cancer screening inabo omuntu atakire kuyekorera every month siku ya 10 after period
obwo bekara boko gotera turi kunyara gukora mirimo yabo na kiga kora togotena wabira umuchando gakarekera bwagotire turi kunyara gukora mirimo iri kwango kora
umwana ataraike myaka 5 omutabwati kenda gwekorerere bweka nigagokorerwa so ibintu biri abareri bwo umwana bakomokorera karo moke na bibigo shape future yo mwana yo gojumoto
okomenya okuya kebo chenu ritukurie Juma chinsa ibere chia butuko no moiroroye ritukurie Jumatatu chinsa isano na ibere nenusu chia mogaso na Evelyn Osero
inyora obo chenu bwo mobero na bwo obonda bwao
ayumwanju wegeta sini kya Ndizi TV na bogo tubwate wetera senjera yo mtandao ya www.ndizitv.net ili kutuligirelia na boigo usonje mirubiri ito chinse 24 nyoranga na bogo sonja wetera sesimi yao yakoboko laptop smart TV ilio wegokie Ndizi TV obwanso Gusii. Asige kabondo enyumo yale gutaguka twayagachire
karenke batomorembe yekoreto buya ase kenyoro amasikani aba bintu byabo bigusikwa kera obosera bwenka nugo kutebania kene nakonyorekana korenga nigoro moyweri obwange to bolimo otagetekene
obwanjani bwale gucwereka ntwaborera
Pastor Gideon Girokenda banga bagatamo kubacana asenga tikuri myaka abakunyomana rero babacane abakumenyomana imyaka 50 etire banyare ko bakomocana bo ibasingwa na Girokende ebikoro byabo byakanito
uko muchana koroko ngoli mumura nabaho teba bagusinga baterere mboli mumura eyente kenene nkelinga bamuko bacana ekero mwanyorire oro ribaga na bumanda mugo cyamo mwanyora riciburi yo kubacana ko
enka yale kugwa ntwayesira yabeire ensera
obuya bwenka enkeri akare buya abamogoko kobo abantu bakobasika nande barombi yamore
na bono asa monchirio yemerubiri ya Ndizi TV Rusa Enkayao na Josephat Amisi
tomo chako bwatio moroberio obosera bwenka kera litukoria Jumatano ja kerense ya monenu so ikara chinsa bere nenu so
tutenenie umochie
Ndizi TV ubwansu bw'Gusii. Ayumure nigiata kurwaro gonkorwa Gusii nichisemo chiyetanaine wono nankakiende yonsi tarira eduka ya Enokem Agrovet Limited nichinsagia chaye bwenyorera mariogo yugusialire bimeri mugondo amoyo chimbusuro endagira yetugo embego yetugo amariogo yugo itekenyambi mugondo chi supplement chetugo ebichuchu byogotuga na yandamange naobare imeyumu chobosongo ansamangacho Akenyoro Farmers Cooperative Plaza Angena Market Plaza Orosagironde Nigorore opposite Shell Petrol Station formerly Falcon Petrol Station Naboigo Orosagironde Nigorore nsemo ya Jogo Angene skuru yobroso ya Jogo Primary Naboigo okoba kirisimi iliko manyamange Enokem Agrovet Limited growing healthier future one harvest at a time.
Ne ano mwana bwechanga cha mitumba chira cha bana amuna bantabanere na nigo tagitego chinyorageka kyange bono Mama Tefi Mitumba Bells nigo akorobeire sabari ntambe asago chirete iregiseli na munwa
no Mama Tefi Mitumba egotogotoka se Imperial Building igero opposite St Jude na ende RBN Family Bank. Mama Tefi ntubwate bintu mbalimbali bya mitumba kuna bono chianga chi abana ntubwate chi household ntubwate chi wood ntubwate chi jacket ntubwate towels. We have all types of products chi mitumba baka ntubwate bikoro tobone gantu introduce ti bikoro to na some slippers crocs igo toko barangeli munyara ko mogoja sa Mama Tefi Mitumba munyara ko mokwenyorera emisigo ya Canada grade 1 karo wachire Mama Tefi Mitumba ntubwate obosemia ntobanetia baligereri bali siko bali batete gochaka biashara bachicha sa Mama Tefi Mitumba elinde banyare ko bakonyora oboseminga nakiba wanete bachaka biashara bya mitumba inki batakire bakore ko bwate chiri busta na 500 sa Mama Tefi Mitumba kwanyorere karo batokere number 1 elindo nyare ko bagokwenda na karoki kenyare ko bagego gokonya
atarere imeyumu cy'ubusongo ase nyumbiri ya Imperial eyo chirigeraneti amune nyumba ya St Jude ground floor room number 1 na number 2 akesimi na kubeka eoda ya olero Mama Tefi Mitumba Bells
abiro kama Mama Tefi Mitumba Bells
ayudo bag maber at a low price. Bada wewe, welcome. Uchakia gusekugenderea obonchore bwa mitumba inchumwa Matefi Mitumba Bells.
Kwikira bono ayabunu mwagachi kwa manyire duka okogenda kujia bintu byose biri gukorera imirimo yawo. Osmo Traders Limited nigo babwate chitari cyokwaranse ase nyumba yawo nabo igokubeka sinyasi bune babu egikoni living room nabo igo echikobe kwesiko babwate sanitary wares buna chising chibakuri chete cyo cyonsi showers, towel holders, soap dishes, racks, mirrors na hand basins. Chirangi chonsi chiria chikuburukanibwa ne computer nabo igo chiri spray paints no chire mbabwate chipboard buna chips and boards, MDF boards na chip boards. Hebinto au biokora plumbing buna PVC joints, PVC pipes na chi water taps chonsi no chire boigo na bokugura chi curtain rods, hood screws, chingulu chonsi, door locks, chi pipe wrench spanners, screwdrivers. Banyore old Sansura building angena Kisii main bus stage gusua Kisimi ase namba enotisano naibire eye mokianda inyeisano enotinye inyeisano nemo. Osmo Traders Limited, customer satisfaction guaranteed. Buna butambe kurumu muchubo songo edukane ye muyuka ekoni bintu byugutumika nyumba byukoni asiduka okwagachira ebyubulimi nebinde binge imena isiko yorogonkorwa Gusii Owuru Superstores Limited. Buna bono koni abarinchira ya wholesale bune sukari omuchere amaguta y'ikinyini echumbi amabere chidaipa esabuni nebinde binge koni abari icyuma cyukwagachira amabati emisumari chisimiti chirangi chisengenge chiwilbaro nebinde binge nigo bagukugurira omusigo ekero kwagurire goikabuo asegeka gichinse 24 beka eoda yao ku Rwanda sasure insiweta usobatarire imeyo mu cyubusungo asamagacho AJM Towers Building angena Credit Bank gose Uhuru Complex Building angena Safaricom Customer Care Kisii usuba kirisimi asikinambechi. Uhuru Superstores Limited, the people's choice, guaranteed lowest prices or your money back.
Somo Kenya Uhuru Superstores yonyo levi.
Ine ayeno mu Kenya utagite gutara gosoma gosigo kore mirimo chinse chesiko buna Canada, USA, Australia, New Zealand, France, UK, Germany, Saudi Arabia, Oman gatiye chinse chinde chinyinge bono Proper Education Link Limited na riori chiburi yao.
Tunashughulika na issue ya moja ni visa ya kutembea. Kama mtu unahitaji kwenda kutembea nchi za nje, kwa mfano Canada, US, tutakusaidia kuapply visa yako na uweze kupata kwa wakati inaofaa. Ya pili, kama mtu unataka kuenda kufanya kazi sehemu za nje, kwa mfano unataka kwenda kufanya kazi Dubai, Qatar, tutakusaidia kwenye kuapply visa yako na uweze kufanikiwa kwa hilo. Ya tatu, ukihitaji kwenda kusoma, first thing ni ya kwamba lazima uwe na visa, study visa. Hiyo study visa tutakusaidia kuapply hiyo study visa ili uweze kupata visa yako kwa wakati.
Nigo tokurwa obukoreri buna visa application, education consultancy, immigration assistance, career guidance, pre-departure information.
Umekaribisha kwa ofisi yetu ambapo tunapatikana Kisii Town in Twin Towers 50 floor building room 507. Na ukiwa Nairobi unatupata maeneo ya Tumaini House opposite Kencom 50 floor room 5G.
Asamange twakire simi ase namba enotisano na ibire inye isano enotisato eye mwenye isano nemo isano na ibire gose oturikireri uko ase email yaito ya info@properedulink.com.
Welcome to Proper Education Link.
Spexel
Cells Opticians abo barase kliniki kya gudika imeyomo chokisi ngoro bare obokoreri au burengeta maiso nigo bakonia ebirore na korenga maiso wetera chi machine chekerero chubumanyi bwaigoro bono nkwanchira barechi insurance ikobwatia AAR GA Insurance Area ya Liason Eagle Africa Kenyan Alliance Pioneer Insurance Lucent Health Amoneria ya Star Discovery.
Karibuni Spectral Opticians Gudka Clinic Kisii Town. Hii ndio kliniki bora ya macho pekee yenye mashini za kisasa na za uwezo wa hali ya juu. Tuko na madaktari professional kabisa kama Daktari Sigei na tunafanya free eye test.
Mimi ndiye Daktari Sigei. Hapa kwetu Spectral Opticians tunazo frames na lenses mbalimbali. Lenses ambazo zinasaidia katika kutatua shida mbalimbali za macho kama vile kutoona mbali, kutosoma maandishi za karibu na hata kupunguza mwangaza.
Asomo chokisi nigo bagotoka angene dukene ne obonchoreria ya Shivling Supermarket na boigo ebenki ya KCB. Mabwate boigo eduka imeyo mocho Nairobi asama gacho a Balfour House, Kimathi Street, Mbarabare na Java House. Asamanke onyeko ganetie konyora obokoreri asomo chokisi bakire simi wetrase namba 0110505501. Noria otageto obokoreri imeyo mocho Nairobi na boko bakire simi ase namba 0110001333. Spectals Opticians, macho bora kwa wote. Amariogo yemete nigabeireri chibwase amarwaire au nonyana yasinyire ase chinyagitari. Super Medical Center egotoka somo chobosongo nigotokwego keria kuruobo wenya wetrasa marioga yokurwase chinse chesko. Ngurwaria tora marwaire buna ulcers, cancer, asthma na yanda manke ayokoringori wa net machine chaito.
Ngoro cross mora daktari kurwe company ya Super Medical Center egotoka somo chobosongo igangurwa ritora marwaire amange. Ande karawa ajine ndobwate chi machine chigo kumureka chiarora nkikero bobe. Chigo kumureka umubero umugima wansero mutu mbaka inse na ichigo tote nkikero bobe amarwaire tiobwate twamanya bakwa mariogo. Mwana abani machine yengo murekera. Yarora mejando kiabwate twaba mariogo. Mariogo itongo ikale mbali neba no mochio keroka. Neba ngirigori cia marioga itu na bako guikera neba Mombasa onya koro ekara wa kiresimi na bukurwari
ikasomo chobosongo ase stage yechigari otwakire simi ase chinamba chikobwatia 0737746368 gose 0712526764
nabantu abange baeteire gana ndi babwenire igoto twara bwoba bonde bwense ekara bwachire ese kwaranyura mariogo munali anyagitari kwangire koigubiya morwaire munali ale chronic nkonyarwari tole
Ndizi TV ubwansu bw'omugusi.
Umwanchu murigereria wegeta sendika Ndizi TV na kwariganira somoroberio wegesinga kama seseni ya keri tukolia Jumapili gochakira chinsa 12 goika chinsa inye chamambia ase gochakira chinsa 12 goika chinsa 12 nenusu tokonyora matero amatwereru yogosasima uchakira chinsa 12 nenusu goika ense ya motonyora amarandia kurwasa barandia ao kikoraga ensa eyemo ya mambia nanyore amatera yegesinga top 5 amatera 5 amakenono kukegima
moyo kalira likone tenye basire moyo kalira makumya tatane basire
yekoraga chinsebere chamambia ninkoretere abateri au irinya gusanga munenje masemo akachiziza tumwancho murigereria nonyorero request awa asogo sabogotera kwao kera litukoria Jumapili 12 gwika chinsenye chamambia toma chakurigereria egesinga kyamasesenia wesamorere amaseseni yao
umurigereria bwe television ya Ndizi TV nigo tugukwiraniria ngambia muno asoko genderera guturigireria na gutusira kira rituko asemerubirio yeito yonsi chinsemero ngeberenenge bono onye kendegia korekanire aseke nyurukiao ekiota geto tumanye asubwango mono abonda isi weke nambeye asesemiao enoti isano na ibere inya isato isano nemo ibere isato isano na isato isano na ibere eyemo elioto akere n'abasaki baito baikasure na kubekora uboti ubwo asembeo emesa yamangana maya ya Ndizi TV nereyo kwabekire simu yao ime
ayumwanju wegetasini kya Ndizi TV nabo gutubwate gwetera senjera yo mtandao ya www.ndizitv.net iri guturigireria na boigo gusonje mirubiri yito chinsemero ngeberenanye nyoranka nabo gusonje gwetera sesimi yao yakoboko laptop smart TV iriyo wegokie Ndizi TV obwanso Gusii
omwanchu murigereria bwe television ya Ndizi TV mbiyamona sukoira chinsa chao na kurigereria television yao na mbejemo yomunwa mweke Gusii bono onye kubwate nganende yonsi yukwe murungania woso komenta na bogo toikera asu twakirezimi ase namba enotisano na ibere inya isato isano nemo ibere isato isano na isato isano na ibere eyemo gose otorikireri yukorike ase email ya ndiztvnews@gmail.com boigo na bugotonyora ase mitandao yaito buna Ndizi TV News Digital ensemo ya Facebook YouTube nigotogotoka buna Ndizi TV News na boigo TikTok nigotogotoka buna Ndizi TV News nabo ogututarira sichiabisi chito ekyo kirebo cyobwe kiro ya embassy ekeroko gendanya koe ase bara ekurwa Kisii kogenda Kisumu Ndizi TV obwanso bwo Gusii
Happy Sabbath, happy day omwanju murigire bigeta seni kya Ndizi television gukwarigania ase enchira ya bene imeyo moroberio obwansu bwe Sabbath no moroberio okoretwa ase orekera litukolia Jumamosi gochakira chinsa 12 chamambia oikera chinsa 4 chamambia imeyo moroberio oyo bwansu bwe Sabbath
abange tugukagera ngani ntu abanyana bo moyo tugukagera nagekora Yesu arwito nga ngomonto yo makare mu mugundu
yes
endagire kama paka akamanya goteba nga bona agachigotaka kubike bya nga bona moyo negoka
isaranza
yonkuigore byage yigore linde ndia matukonsi no mona matebyo omoririo yo rero naganire ubugima bwao asenjire ngomanye n'ubugima no manene
nigo togosanga amunaye ensemo ya devotion astokonyara koba atokonyora engane mwamu egotora ase omoroberio yo
where your treasure ari asubi asibirengereri byagobire ari no onye goko mwa Yesu Kristo teko bako ngumorisi nyago koranderio omundu nga karwense mwego
nyora boigongo swatore asa maigerio ye lesson astokonyara koba to kurigereria na koerera anene alianyare ko baga kwegwa oborito ime lesson ye chuma enkima lakini magiga ya mwanya bantu intukonyara ko bato gosaria so mugondo Eden nande twarangeri wasiriyo gituri ororo rigotebe nga missing ayore inchwe onyara ko ba part of the family
tiyo buruti bwa Nyasaye no burunge bwaye Matayo 5:33 na byonsi na mamentero
ase entunda ya gatatu neyo mwerio igotogo soa ime ya request tower
Rumba imebubera ya rumba.
Wana mapambala tupatie nyama choma kila mtu mikono juu. Wana mapambala tupatie kachumbari.
This is rumba nostalgia imebubera. The really rumba nostalgia. Negi ntoko igugego so apaka the bone marrow. Yes, the DNA, you know.
Kere Jumamosi, chinsa isano nibere nenusu, chamobaso, goika chinsa ikomi, chamaroba, na papasiko the bad.
Enyoni atakuwa nakuletea kila wiki Jumamosi kuanzia saa 7:30 mpaka saa 10. Rumba nostalgia imeburera.
Rumba nostalgia.
Utapenda rafiki yangu.
Utaipenda. Obolemi nobonda n'umuruburyo bw'ogwesemya nakwimanya iguru y'obolemi bw'ekerero.
Asa abalimi bonsi imeyaliro balia Gusii nabeire ngo batebya nga obolemi nobonda nabo igo obolemi nesiro nabeire ngo gotalia imeyaliro balia Gusii tumera n'abalimi ao asito gusangana gukwana mange obonda bwensi ya Kenya nigo bokorwa ase ebimeri ao gati ebimeri ebyone kawa echae gati ebinde binge
imanye obolemi bwa mugondo obutugi bwetugo na teknolojia yekerero y'abalimi bande bagendrete gutumika na kubaletera ligesa linene na Mildred Momanyi
igombwatie imeyo morobeli bw'obolemi nobonda oyogotera butambiri tukolia maine ense monenu sugo ikachinsa ibere chamagoroba ndocho koletera amangana mange igoro y'obolemi nande nigongo gotebya nga tekane irio tware obolemi obonene elindo onyara ko bagokora obolemi nabo gotwara ikigingege sinini kurinde okoro obolemi bosomete nando nyogotete ndagere yetio kebuya elinde linayo igwe obote bwoko yeria endagere yo niganeti egetunguo kore para igochigwerte nganyare boyekire chinsaga
obolemi nobonda Jumanne chinsa ibere chabutuko no moiroroye ritukuria Jumatano chinsa isano ni mocha mugaso na Mildred Momanyi
naro producer yane mbwati to ande baka somole mimbo boli na ki akora mabera yanyara ko baga gwansa iga
asegati yaito ntubwata abantu bali nobolema n'abantabwa mbabwata magani yabo mbabwata ibyewa mbasomete naboigo mbatagitama baga asemirimo nakubwatisiwa asubugima bwokera lituko
inyura obolema igoro bole inyura kerema nkeliko sekwa inyura ekerema ngechiche
nakyo gekogera asumuruburyo bw'obolema asubugima Jared Wilberforce niga gukoretera ensemo iliyotamanyiti igoro yabo
turabe tugwesemia kwemanyia na kwegokia ase amanganonsi pi ali arengete abantu baito abali nobolema ayekwarorire bagotenga
kera rituko ria Jumanne chinsa isano nemo chia mugaso no moiroro rituko ria Jumapili chinsa isato nenusu chia butuko oborema asubugima imeya Ndizi TV.
Gendo tukerie kia senseye buna komenya buyake bochenu na kieko geregeta seni kya Ndizi TV togokoretero muroberio bwo komenya okuya
bwo buiga tutebe abantu abanene boka kusenone muntu ndi bwensi nabako
nonye muntu ndi bwensi nonya rero iga oiso konyora kwanyorire head injury nabo konyoranga e problem ya gochire
sasa pneumonia ni infection yenye inakuja
Si ni infection, ni kitu, ni una breathe in hiyo bacteria. Alafu ukitibiwa inaenda inaisha kabisa. So haiwezi kukua transmitted kutoka kwa mzazi ikienda kwa mtoto.
Kira ritko ria ijuma gochaka chinsa ibere goika chinsa ibere ne nusu chia mogoroba no semiwa manke igoro yobo chenu obwo mobero.
Igoro breast cancer screening. Inabo omuntu atakire kuyekorera every month. Every month siku ya 10 after period.
Obwo bekara boko gotera turi kunyara gukora mirimo yabo na kiga kora togotena bwabira umuchando gakarekera bwagotire turi kunyara gukora imirimo iri kwangokora
umwana ataraika emyaka etano omutabwati kenda gwekorerere bweka nigagokorerwa so ebintu biri abareri b'omwana bakomokorera karo moke na bibigo shape future y'omwana oyo gojumoto
okomenya okuya kebo chenu rituko ria ijuma chinsa ibere chia butuko no moiroroye rituko ria jumatatu chinsa isano na ibere nenusu chia mugaso na Evelyn Osero
inyora obo chenu bwo mobero na bwo obonda bwao
Ndizi TV Obwansu bw'omu Gusii.
163 volume CXXV1 dated the 9th of October 2024. Vide that gazette notice, I appointed Wednesday 16th October 2024 as the date for the commencement of the hearing, and further that the hearing will run up to the conclusion of the hearing on Thursday the 17th of October 2024. As presently convened, therefore, today at midnight, unless midnight finds the Senate in the course of division, marks the end of the period for the hearing of the present impeachment matter. As this process is time-bound by the Constitution to be concluded in not more than 10 days, pursuant to Article 145 as read together with Article 150 of the Constitution, and noting that the period provided for ends on Saturday the 19th of October 2024, the only window open to the Senate, if it so oblige the request for adjournment sought by counsel for the Deputy President, will be to gazette Saturday the 19th of October 2024 as a further and final day for hearing of this matter. Now, honorable senators, ladies and gentlemen, such a request is not made to the Speaker, but to the Senate, and is accordingly a matter for the Senate to determine. To facilitate this decision, I direct the clerk of the Senate to circulate a supplementary order paper incorporating a notice of motion and a motion for adjournment sought. This being a procedural matter, the motion, if carried, will result in the Speaker gazetting Saturday the 19th of October 2024 as a sitting day to conclude the hearing and determination of this matter, this being the last day allowed by the Constitution of Kenya for these proceedings to conclude. Needless to say, if the motion is not carried, the decision of the Senate will be that this hearing continues to conclusion in the manner provided for under Rule 12. In such event, the hearing will continue as set out in the program, with the parties moving to make their closing statements. Now, honorable senators, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, let me take this opportunity on my own behalf and on behalf of the Senate to convey our sincere sympathies and best wishes for a quick recovery to His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, AGH, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. Next to the clerk. Now, honorable senators, you have been circulated with the supplementary order paper. That is the order paper that we are going to use from now going forward. Clerk, now, honorable senators, this being a procedural motion, you don't need to give notice. So when the order is read out, the majority leader will be called upon to move. Clerk, call the order, please. Honorable Senators, please let us be seated.
Order number 2, procedural motion to hold sittings on Saturday, 19th October 2024.
The Senate Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to move this procedural motion, which is for the Senate to hold sittings on Saturday, the 19th of October 2024. That aware that the National Assembly on the 8th of October 2024 resolved with the support of 282 members, being at least two-thirds of all the members of the National Assembly, that pursuant to the provisions of Article 145(2), as read with Article 151(b) and 2 of the Constitution and the Standing Order 65(2) of the National Assembly Standing Orders, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, be removed from office by impeachment on the ground specified in the motion. Whereas by letter reference NA/DLP/TBO/MTS/2024-025, dated the 8th of October 2024 and received in the office of the Speaker of the Senate on the 9th of October 2024, and on the 9th of October 2024, the Speaker of the National Assembly informed the Speaker of the Senate of the approval of the special motion by the National Assembly and further forwarded to the Speaker of the Senate documents in evidence of the proceedings of the National Assembly. And whereas vide Kenya Gazette number 137/18, volume CXX V1 number 163, dated 9th of October 2024, and Article 145(3)(a) of the Constitution, the Speaker of the Senate appointed Wednesday the 16th of October 2024 and Thursday the 17th of October 2024 as sittings convened for the purpose of hearing the proposed removal from office by impeachment of His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, by plenary. Further, whereas pursuant to Article 145, as read with Article 151(b) and 2 of the Constitution and Standing Orders number 78 and 79 of the Senate Standing Orders, the Senate had the National Assembly on the grounds for the proposed removal from office by way of impeachment of His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. And further, whereas pursuant to Article 145, as read with Article 151(b) and 2 of the Constitution and Standing Orders number 178, and Standing Order number 78 and 79 of the Senate Standing Orders, the Senate also had the counsel for His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, during cross-examination of the witnesses for the National Assembly on the grounds of the proposed removal from office by impeachment of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. Noting that His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, did not appear during the afternoon sitting of the Senate on Thursday, 17th October 2024, further noting that counsel for His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, sought an adjournment of the Senate until Tuesday, the 22nd of October 2024 at 9 a.m. to allow His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, to appear and give evidence, if any, on grounds for his proposed removal from office by impeachment. Further noting that pursuant to Article 145(4) of the Constitution, a proposed impeachment hearing for the removal from office of a Deputy President must be concluded within 10 days from the date of the reading of the charges, which period in this case expires on Saturday, the 19th of October 2024. Now, therefore, the Senate resolves as follows. 1, to adjourn today's afternoon sitting on Thursday, the 17th of October 2024, and pursuant to Standing Order number 34(4)C of the Senate Standing Orders, to hold sittings on Saturday, 19th of October 2024, commencing at 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. and 2:30 until the conclusion of business in the order paper on that day. In order to conclude the hearing and determination of the proposed removal from office by impeachment of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, this is a self-explanatory procedural motion that, in light of the request of counsel for the Deputy President, this House adjourns until the closest time possible without violation of the Constitution within which we can sit and conclude on this matter. As I move this motion, though, Mr. Speaker, I must note that the request that came from counsel for the Deputy President, Senior Counsel Paul Mwite, is that we actually sit on Tuesday. I am sure he knows very well the 10-day provision, but I don't know why he wants this House to violate the Constitution, Mr. Speaker, or at least send us into a constitutional crisis. Be that as it may, Mr. Speaker, I want to urge my colleagues that let us sit on that Saturday, despite the fact that I know there are quite a number of Adventists, but duty calls, Mr. Speaker. And this is an important exercise that has the breadth of the country holding still while watching what is happening in the Senate of the Republic of Kenya. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, with those very many remarks, I want to request the minority leader, Senator Justice Stewart Madzayo, to second this motion. I thank you. Justice retired Stewart Madzayo. Sorry, my apologies.
Order, honorable senators. You know, it pays to be attentive. I've just said this is a procedural motion. It does not require notice. Senator Karungo.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika. Kwanza nataka kuunga mkono hoja hii ya kwamba tuweze pia kupata nafasi ya kuweza kuketi ama kusikiza maoni haya siku ya Jumamosi, kuanzia leo mpaka Jumamosi, kupewa nafasi hiyo. Bwana Spika, tunaelewa ya kwamba hii ni kesi muhimu sana na macho yote katika nchi hivi sasa yanaegezwa katika bunge la Senate. Nataka kumpatia pole sana kupitia kwa wakili ambaye ni senior counsel wetu na ni wakili mkubwa katika Kenya, ndugu yangu Paul Mwite, kwamba yule client wako amekuwa mgonjwa wakati huu. Najua ni ugonjwa ni kitu cha Mwenyezi Mungu. Hatuwezi sisi tukasema ya kwamba mtu hawezi kuwa mgonjwa. Mtu yote anaweza kuwa mgonjwa. Kwa hiyo nataka umpatie pole, Senate imempatia pole, na kwamba tunamtakia kila laheri aweze Mwenyezi Mungu kumpatia nafuu, alafu tuweze kumpata hapa. Bwana Spika, tuko katika panda mbili hivi sasa. Ni mgonjwa na tuendelee, ama ni mgonjwa na tusiendelee. Tumpatie nafasi. Kama binadamu naweza kusema kwamba ni nafasi nzuri tuonyeshe binadamu kama maseneta ama nyumba ya Senate, kwamba tumpatie nafasi ya yeye akiwa yuko hospitali aweze kuweza kupata nafuu katika matibabu yake. Bwana Spika, mswada huu umekuja wakati mzuri na kwamba tunaweza kumpatia hiyo nafasi. Naunga mkono hoja hii. Asante sana Bwana Spika.
Now, honorable senators, I'll proceed to propose a question, which is that aware that the National Assembly on the 8th of October 2024 resolved with the support of 282 members, being at least 2/3 of all members of the National Assembly, that pursuant to the provisions of Article 145(2) as read with Article 151(b) and 2 of the Constitution, and Standing Order 65(2) of the National Assembly Standing Orders, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, be removed from office by impeachment on the grounds specified in the special motion. Whereas by a letter reference NA/DLP/TBO/MTS/2024 into brackets 025, dated the 8th of October 2024, and received in the office of the Speaker of the Senate on the 9th of October 2024, the Speaker of the National Assembly informed the Speaker of the Senate of the approval of the special motion by the National Assembly and further forwarded to the Speaker of the Senate documents in evidence of the proceedings of the National Assembly. And whereas Vide Kenya Gazette number 13178, volume CXX V1, number 163, dated the 9th of October 2024, and Article 145(3)(a) of the Constitution, the Speaker of the Senate appointed Wednesday, the 16th of October 2024, and Thursday, 17th of October 2024, as sittings convened for the purpose of hearing the proposed removal from office by impeachment of His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, in plenary. Further, whereas pursuant to Article 145, as read with Article 151(b) and 2 of the Constitution, and Standing Orders 78 and 79 of the Senate Standing Orders, the Senate heard the National Assembly on the grounds for the proposed removal from office by impeachment of His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. And further, whereas pursuant to Article 145, as read with Article 151(b) and 2 of the Constitution, and Standing Orders 78 and 79 of the Senate Standing Orders, the Senate also had counsel for His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, during cross-examination of the witnesses for the National Assembly on the grounds for the proposed removal from office by impeachment of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. Noting that His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, did not appear during the afternoon sitting of the Senate on Thursday, the 17th of October 2024. Further, noting that counsel for His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, sought an adjournment of the Senate until Tuesday, the 22nd of October 2024 at 9 a.m. to allow His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, to appear and give evidence, if any, on the grounds for his proposed removal from office by impeachment. Further, noting that pursuant to Article 145(4) of the Constitution, a proposed impeachment hearing for the removal from office of a Deputy President must be concluded within 10 days from the date of the reading of the charges, which period in this case expires on Saturday, the 19th of October 2024. Now, therefore, the Senate resolves the following: to adjourn the afternoon sitting of Thursday, 17th October 2024, and pursuant to Standing Order 34(4)(c) of the Senate Standing Orders, to hold sittings on Saturday, the 19th of October 2024, commencing at 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. and 2:30 p.m. until conclusion of business in the order paper of the day, in order to conclude the hearing and determination of the proposed removal from office by impeachment of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. Now, honorable senators, we have been here before. This is a procedural motion. We rarely debate procedural motions. It's either we agree with it or we don't agree with it. And therefore, with your consensus, I may move to put the question. Very well. I will now proceed to put the question. That aware that the National Assembly on the 8th of October 2024 resolved with the support of 282 members, being at least 2/3 of all members of the National Assembly, that pursuant to the provisions of Article 145(2), as read with Article 151(b) and 2 of the Constitution, and Standing Order 65(2) of the National Assembly Standing Orders, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, be removed from office by impeachment on the grounds specified in the special motion. Whereas by a letter reference NA/DLP/TBO/MTS/2024 into brackets 025, dated the 8th of October 2024, and received in the office of the Speaker of the Senate on the 9th of October 2024, the Speaker of the National Assembly informed the Speaker of the Senate of the approval of the special motion by the National Assembly, and further forwarded to the Speaker of the Senate documents in evidence of the proceedings of the National Assembly. And whereas via Kenya Gazette number 131/78, volume CXX V1, number 163, dated the 9th of October 2024, and Article 145(3)(a) of the Constitution, the Speaker of the Senate appointed Wednesday, the 16th of October 2024, and Thursday, 17th of October 2024, as sittings convened for the purpose of hearing the proposed removal from office by impeachment of His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, in plenary. Further, whereas pursuant to Article 145, as read with Article 151(b) and 2 of the Constitution, and Standing Orders 78 and 79 of the Senate Standing Orders, the Senate had the National Assembly on the grounds for the proposed removal from office by impeachment of His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. And further, whereas pursuant to Article 145, as read with Article 151(b) and 2 of the Constitution, and Standing Orders 78 and 79 of the Senate Standing Orders, the Senate also had counsel for His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, during cross-examination of the witnesses of the National Assembly on the grounds of the proposed removal from office by impeachment of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. Noting that His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, did not appear during the afternoon sitting of the Senate on Thursday, the 17th of October 2024, further noting that the counsel for His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, sought an adjournment of the Senate until Tuesday, the 22nd of October 2024 at 9 a.m. to allow His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, to appear and give evidence, if any, on the grounds for his proposed removal from office by impeachment. Further, noting that pursuant to Article 145(4) of the Constitution, a proposed impeachment hearing for the removal from office of the Deputy President must be concluded within 10 days from the date of the hearing of reading of the charges, which period in this case expires on Saturday, the 19th of October 2024. Now, therefore, the Senate resolves, 1, to adjourn the afternoon sitting of Thursday, 17th of October 2024, and pursuant to Standing Order 34(4)(c) of the Senate Standing Orders, to hold sittings on Saturday, the 19th of October 2024, commencing at 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. and 2:30 p.m. until conclusion of business in the order paper of the day, in order to conclude the hearing and determination of the proposed removal from office by impeachment of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The nays have it. Now, honorable senators, the motion having been defeated, we will proceed with the hearing program as had been circulated this afternoon, in which case then we will move to closing statements by the parties. Yes, Senior Counsel Paul Mwite.
Mheshimiwa Speaker, through you, let me recognize the right of this Honorable Senate to decide any issue, any question put to it democratically, which, Mr. Speaker, is what has happened. Arising from that decision of this Honorable Senate, Mr. Speaker, we as the legal team representing the Deputy President are not able to continue appearing without instructions. So we humbly and with a lot of respect take your leave, Mr. Speaker, and the leave of this Honorable House. Thank you.
Now, honorable senators, we shall move to hear the closing statements by Counsel for the National Assembly. Clerk, you may now proceed to read the order.
Order number 3, hearing and determination on the proposed removal from office by impeachment of His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya.
Counsel for the National Assembly, the floor is yours. You have up to 60 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir. On behalf of the National Assembly, we have a total of 4 advocates who would be sharing the time that is allocated to us. Leading the pack, Mr. Speaker, sir, is Senior Counsel Otiende Amolo, to whom I will cede the floor.
Honorable Speaker, honorable senators, I thank you. And this being my maiden appearance on this matter, I sincerely hope I did not drive my learned friend and his team away. But honorable Speaker, Kenya is indeed a mature democracy. We are so mature that, Mr. Speaker, we gave ourselves the most modern constitution in recent history 14 years ago. We are so mature that 7 years ago, we had the nullification of the only presidential election.
Honorable senators. Senator Fernandi, take your seat. Senator Kipsang, may the Counsel for the National Assembly be heard in silence.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. 7 years ago, we had the nullification of the only presidential election known to history. And today, Mr. Speaker, we are conducting impeachment proceedings unknown to this continent outside of the removal proceedings in a parliamentary system in South Africa. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you and the Senate for demonstrating the maturity of a democracy. So much so that even when the Deputy President is unable to appear without anything on record, this Honorable Senate has accorded the Deputy Speaker the opportunity, the Deputy President, the opportunity for his counsel to be present, and they have voluntarily exited. The right to appear in person or by counsel is a right under Article 145. But like every other right, you can choose to exercise it or not to exercise it. The idea and the fact of these impeachment proceedings being open as they are and being so democratic, even to vote on the procedural motion, shows how mature our country has become. Mr. Speaker, before the 2010 Constitution, we would not have been here for this process for 2 days. We would not have been taking this process in the National Assembly. The President would sack the Vice President at whims, including for not liking the color of his shoes. The fact that we are here in a situation where to impeach a Deputy President, we have to go through these processes, Mr. Speaker, it shows our maturity. But let it not be mistaken, Mr. Speaker, as some people have, that the process of impeachment is a criminal trial. When you hear people ask the mover of the motion, do you have any proof? Can you demonstrate? It means they are confusing this process with a criminal process. It is not a criminal process. Mr. Speaker, what we have in impeachment is a halfway house between the whim before 2010 and the beyond reasonable doubt proof in a criminal trial. In the words of Article 50, all you have to show is reason to believe. Reason to believe. what the lawyers would call just a prima facie case. You do not have to demonstrate beyond reasonable doubt. So all the questions that I had my learned friends putting to the mover to prove, to demonstrate, they look good to the public gallery, but they add no value to the test for impeachment. Mr. Speaker, impeachment is like a vote of confidence or a vote of no confidence. Just the same way when you vote the president and the deputy, no one asks you to justify why, because you exercise your discretion. When you lose that confidence, no one should ask you to demonstrate why. That is why it's a political process. Otherwise, it could have been a judicial process or a religious process. Mr. Speaker, it is important to make two distinctions. First, that in this process, you do not have to prove anything beyond reasonable doubt. That's number one. The beyond reasonable doubt can come later when the other processes come in, like the investigative agencies. Number two, Mr. Speaker, in courts, our courts use an adversarial system where you bring all the documents and you are restricted to what you have brought. The process in this house is inquisitorial under Article 145 all the way to 149. And therefore, it allows this house to go beyond what the mover has brought or beyond what the other witnesses have brought. And this house has exercised that jurisdiction quite maturely. Mr. Speaker, I want to suggest that the idea of impeachment is one which is legal in process only, legal in process, but political in content and merit. As long as all the legal processes for fair hearing are observed, it is not open to anyone to question the merit in terms of the decision of the National Assembly or the Senate, because the safeguard is in the numbers. That is why before you move it in the National Assembly, you need 117 members. For it to pass, you need at least 2/3. Even in this house, you need 2/3. That is the safeguard. The safeguard is not in the legal technicalities. Mr. Speaker, for that reason, while it looks juicy and it looks very good to the gallery to have that intense cross-examination such as we saw of the mover of the motion, Mr. Speaker, it is irrelevant. It is highly irrelevant, and to the untrained eye, they might think you are achieving much, but you are not achieving much. It must be remembered that the impeachment here is of the deputy president, not the mover of the motion. So however much you discredit the mover of the motion, you do your client no justice when you do not address the substance of what is moved. Mr. Speaker, allow me to refocus on Article 150. Article 150 makes a very important distinction. And I heard the lawyers of the deputy president saying that, there's precedent. There is no precedent in our courts in terms of impeachment. There is precedent in terms of removal from office of governors under Article 181. The word used is removal. The word impeachment does not appear in Article 181. But when you come to Article 150, two words are used. You can remove the deputy president first, Mr. Speaker, under 151A, under 151 is removal. To that extent, the question of removal in 151, you can use the same standards in Article 181. But B, it says, or on impeachment. There is no other provision for impeachment, and we have not undertaken impeachment in this country. For that reason, Mr. Speaker, while the wording might look similar, the principles are different. Because for removal, for example, under 151, it's a strict legal process. You have to show and demonstrate that the deputy president has physical or mental incapacity. But when it comes to impeachment, it's a different matter. It's more of a political matter. Mr. Speaker, impeachment is a demonstration of impropriety, of unfitness for office, of it's taking political responsibility. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, in a representative democracy, it is the way of unvoting someone you had voted. Otherwise, you would be having a fresh election to decide, should we now remove this person from office? It is too expensive. The fact, Mr. Speaker, that you have 82% in the National Assembly voting for impeachment and 2/3, if it succeeds in this House, you translate it to the millions that it represents. In the National Assembly, 82% translate to about 42 million out of the 50 million Kenyans. That is a significant number. Mr. Speaker, if this House is equally to vote, you translate it to the equivalent number of people it's representing. It is not a heavy matter. If it was any less, it would have been a decision for a single judge. Mr. Speaker, allow me to address two things, then I sit, in terms of substance. One, you have 11 charges. 4 of those charges oscillate around one issue, and that is the utterances by the Deputy President. And the charge is he made insightful and discriminatory utterances to the effect that only those who voted for the Kenya Kwanza are entitled to resources and positions in government in Kenya. That is the summary of that charge. That charge is contained in ground 1, ground 5, ground 6, and ground 10. I want to submit, Mr. Speaker, that if you find even only that one charge to have been satisfied, then I want to implore the senators to vote yes for all those 4 grounds together. Has it been satisfied? Mr. Speaker, those utterances are admitted by the Deputy President in the documents before you. The meanings of those words in their variety is known to you and is known to Kenyans. The danger in words is something we know in this country way back in 2007. In our neighboring country, Rwanda, we know what words did. I heard the lawyers of the Deputy President suggest that he did not take any action. Under the law, under Article 10, under Article 27, you do not have to take any action. Utterances are enough, because utterances can do the very damage that the Constitution intends not to be done. Mr. Speaker, what is his response to that charge? There are 2. The first one is he was exercising free speech. Mr. Speaker, that is the easiest to dismiss. I invite the senators to look at Article 33, 2D, Roman 2. It is express, and it says, freedom of expression cannot include advocacy for discrimination, and that's what he was doing. What's the second defense? That whatever he was saying is contained in the various coalition agreements under the Kenya Kwanza coalition that were filed and signed before election. Mr. Speaker, with tremendous respect, allow me to remind the Deputy President that this is the Republic of Kenya, not the Republic of Kenya Kwanza. Mr. Speaker, for that reason, you cannot elevate agreements under the Kenya Kwanza coalition above the legislation of this country, above the constitution of this country. Section 13 of the NCIC Act is very clear that those utterances are unlawful, in fact criminal. Article 10 and Article 27 of the Constitution are equally clear that you cannot make such utterances. So to come and say that I uttered them because they are contained in a coalition for one particular political coalition is in fact an admission. It is an admission of violation of the Constitution. And Mr. Speaker, if members wanted one clear admission of guilt, it is this one. It is not denied, the justification cannot stand, and indeed, Mr. Speaker, once one of the senators asked for the justification, and I heard the lawyers refer to the Schedule 3 of the Political Parties Act. Mr. Speaker, I invite the senators to look at Schedule 3, Clause 3E. It is very specific. It talks of sharing positions in the coalition structure, not sharing positions in government. And to try and mislead this august House makes it an aggravation of a wrong. And I invite you, Mr. Speaker, to find that there was a breach of this. And I think the worst of all is we were able to play a clip of the Deputy President after showing what he had uttered, saying that he has no apology. He said he has no apology. The clip was played here, I invite you to look at the 798 pages that he has filed. There is nowhere where he has rendered an apology. So he leaves you in a position where he says, even if he was not impeached, he will continue doing that because in his view, it is justified by the Kenya Kwanza coalition. Mr. Speaker, I invite the honorable senators to find that this ground has been proved and to impeach the deputy president on ground 1, ground 5, ground 6, and ground 10 for breach of the NCIC Act, Section 13, and breach of Article 10 and 27 of the Constitution. My last point, Mr. Speaker, allegations of corruption. Mr. Speaker, this House has had the various allegations of corruption. You had the very direct evidence of Dr. Mulwa in terms of KEMSA. You had the very direct evidence of the Deputy CEO of ESCC. You had the various evidence in terms of Olive Garden, Vipingo, Outspan, and many others. But I will not go there. I will let you assess that, and my colleagues will address that. I want to address one fundamental thing. In your bundle, honorable senators, in volume 2A of the exhibits, you will find reference to a particular court decision. This is the decision on page 60 of 123. That is the decision in Asset Recovery Agencies versus Rigathi Gachagua. This decision was referred to, but I just want to take you directly to the finding on page 77. This was a case that the Asset Recovery Agency filed against the Deputy President. And this case was actually finalized 10 days before the last general election. What did the court find? The court found positively and declared that Rigathi Gachagua was found to have been having funds which were proceeds of crime and therefore liable for forfeiture to the state to the extent of 200 million. Mr. Speaker, it is important to note that in the 798 pages of the document filed by the Deputy President, there is not a single document that shows that this judgment has been set aside, has been compromised, or revoked. In an inquisitorial system, you do not need to restrict yourself. Where there's a judgment produced that shows that you have been found guilty of having proceeds of crime, the expectation would be that you produce a document negating it. The fact that no document has been produced, I invite you to invoke an adverse inference that either there is no such document, or if there is, it does not deal with that finding. Mr. Speaker, I want to submit that there's good reason why that document was not produced. Why would you produce all the agreements of Kenya Kwanza and produce all sorts of other things except one page of a document that is the most important document? As it is, you do not have any document that shows that this finding was negated. Mr. Speaker, I want to suggest that had it been produced, we would then have demonstrated that that document is unlawful. Because in law, and I submit respectfully, once you have been found guilty of what amounts to a criminal offense, you cannot then subsequently compromise it, because this is not a civil claim. A crime is a crime against the state. It is not personal to the Asset Recovery Agency. And therefore, those findings can only be set aside by positive findings of a superior court, and there's none. So the record shows that Rigathi Gachagua was convicted of corruption. And what that means, Mr. Speaker, that not only was he convicted, but even to come here and allege that he was convicted and thereafter, they entered some sort of negotiation, is in itself evidence of abuse of power. Because he was convicted 10 days before election, shortly thereafter, it is alleged they compromised it in what would be an illegality. Mr. Speaker, on that account, ground 7 of the charge must succeed. Respectfully, Mr. Speaker, honorable senators, I plead with you to find the Deputy President guilty of the grounds as charged. Thank you very much. Allow me now to introduce the Honorable George Murugara to take over.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker and honorable senators. My name is George Gitonga Murugara, Member of Parliament, National Assembly, and the Chairperson of Justice and Legal Affairs, and I'm here to represent the National Assembly with my colleagues. Honorable Speaker and senators, I'll deal with only one point which supports ground number 11 on the impeachment. And the ground 11 is insubordination and failure to actually act collectively with the other members of the cabinet and the presidency. There was an argument that was raised that some of the alleged misconduct on the part of the deputy president were actually committed when he was not the deputy president and therefore do not apply to the proceedings before this House. Reference is made to Article 151B of the Constitution, which provides that the ground for impeachment would only be serious consideration of serious reasons to believe that an offense has been committed. There is no time limit that is set, because once there are reasons to believe that an offense has been committed, then that stretches back to whatever time that offense would have been committed. This is to say, if in the pendency of the life of the presidency or the deputy president, it is discovered that before you assumed the office, you committed an offense, that forms a ground for impeachment. This leads me to the next argument, which are the admissions that the deputy president actually made before the House. Clearly, he admitted that the issue of shareholding in Kenya was live, and he was part and parcel of it. Therefore, Kenyans were shareholders. He actually admitted in the House and also in the press in the country that he believed the president was behind this motion. He also admitted that he had actually gone against the principle of collective responsibility on the basis that the cabinet had made unconstitutional decisions, which decisions he had to disobey. He also went on to dismiss this parliament as a theater of the absurd, and that he did not expect much from here. The question is this, and that, honorable senators, you have to grapple with. If the deputy president was actually to be saved by this House, with whom would he work? He would not work with the Kenyans whom he has antagonized with his shareholding notion that he has spread across the country. Number two, he would have difficulty serving with his boss, whom he has accused of being behind this motion. He would not actually work with the cabinet, where he is responsible for everything that is done in the cabinet and the sub-cabinet committees brought together by the principle of collective responsibility. He would not be able to work with this parliament, which he has called a theater of the absurd. With whom would he work? This is the question you have to ask yourselves. What we have before us today is like a marriage, and I have to draw that analogy because actually the position occupied by the subject of the discussion and the motion, the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, is now untenable. He cannot hold that position because his position is irretrievable. He cannot work with any of the organs and bodies he's supposed to work with. Therefore, the position being irretrievable, then it means actually he has to be impeached. And I implore upon you to actually do so. Where a marriage is irretrievably broken, you cannot apply any law. The marriage is gone. Whichever law you try to apply, it does not matter. For the deputy president today, we cannot apply any measure of legalese because this is not likely to assist us in any way. The position remains, this is a political process, these political offices they are holding, and therefore they are irretrievably broken. As I pen off, Honorable Senators, Honorable Speaker, sir, I'll refer you to a biblical book in the Old Testament, the book of Jonah, chapter 1. And when the senators retire, they can actually look at that, the entire chapter. What happened here when Jonah disobeyed the command from his superior, and that was the deity? He actually had to flee. And when he fled, he took a ship to a different city, not where he had been commanded to go. What remained was, on the journey, the waters were faced with tempest, and eventually the tempest had to be calmed by tossing Jonah out of the ship. The ship here is actually the presidency. The ocean is actually Kenya. Jonah is the insubordinate deputy president who actually cannot work with the entire government and the country, and whose position today, as he holds, is untenable. With those remarks, I urge you, honorable senators, to actually uphold this motion, and to the best of my belief and conviction, not only ground 11, which I have submitted, the rest of the grounds have been approved. Thank you very much. 2 minutes to Honorable Zamzam, who is also going to make a statement and a submission. Thank you very much.
Mheshimiwa Spika, kama mwakilishi wa bunge wa eneo bunge la Mombasa na bunge la taifa la Kenya, Mheshimiwa Spika, leo nimekuja hapa kuwaletea yale mashtaka ambayo yameonekana katika bunge letu. Mheshimiwa Spika, Mheshimiwa Spika, mengi yamezungumzwa. Mimi si mwanasheria, lakini mimi nazungumza kama yule Mkenya ambaye yuko pale chini, hajui sheria, hajui nini, anaomba amani katika taifa. Mheshimiwa Spika, Mheshimiwa Spika, video zimechezwa katika bunge hili. Tumeona Mheshimiwa Naibu wa Rais akijipiga kifua, hasa kule Taita Taveta. Nimeona Mheshimiwa Spika akiwaambia kuwa hawana shares, na akawaambia nyinyi kama mnataka hisa muongoje 2027, manake hata rais akinambia mimi niweze kuwaletea maendeleo, namwambia kwanza subiri niangalie kwenye mfuko wangu wakiwa kama wako kwenye orodha ya kupewa maendeleo. Mheshimiwa Spika, Mheshimiwa Spika, ifahamike kuna wakati mmoja Kenya iliingia kwenye vita sana. Mheshimiwa Spika, tuliona maiti ya kina mama, mtoto hajui mama amekufa, mtoto alikuwa ananyonya matiti. Mheshimiwa Spika, Mheshimiwa Spika, hatuwezi kutaka taifa hili lirudi kule tena. Mheshimiwa Spika, Mheshimiwa Spika, ndani ya Mombasa nina wajane ambao wananitegemea sana. Mheshimiwa Spika, uniletea malilio yao, na leo mimi kama mama kaunti wa Mombasa nalia kwa sababu ya mayatima ambao waliwachwa na ndugu ya naibu wa rais. Mheshimiwa Spika, haiwezekani kuwa leo mimi na mume wangu tutafute mali yetu na tuna watoto wetu, kisha akifa aende mbele ya Mwenyezi Mungu nije nipokonywe mali yangu, niache na watoto wangu wakihangaika. Mheshimiwa Spika, ukiangalia umri ya hawa watoto wa ndugu yake Mheshimiwa naibu wa rais wametoshea kupewa urithi wao. Mheshimiwa Spika, lakini hata kuna tetesi mwingine yoozea kule kwa jela. Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi nasema, nilisikia mwanasheria akisema to save makanga. Mimi nasema makanga ameiba pesa ya abiria, dereva hana pesa ya kupelekea mwenye gari. Kwa hiyo mimi nasema wamwache dereva apeleke abiria mpaka station ya mwisho, kisha akifika kule atajua atatafuta makanga mwingine namna gani. Mheshimiwa Spika, hatuna sisi uchungu na watu wa mlima, lakini tunachosema tulikuwa na Uhuru, tulikuwa na Kibaki, tulikuwa na Kenyatta, hatukuwahi kuona mambo ambayo tumeona kwa deputy president. Mheshimiwa Spika, huyu ni sumu, atavuruga Kenya, ataharibu Kenya. Naomba bunge hili la Seneti, amani ya Kenya iko kwenye mikono yenu, na waomba mtoe uamuzi wa uhakika Huyu jamaa hapendezi kabisa kuwa katika nafasi ambayo yuko ndani sasa. Na waomba kwa heshima na taadhima tuweze kumtimua leo, Kenya iweze kupata mtu ambaye atamsaidia rais kufanya kazi akiwa ameweka amani na umoja wa Kenya mbele. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika.
Mr. Speaker, sir, very briefly, I will wrap up the submissions on the part of the National Assembly. I'll endeavor not to repeat what has already been captured on the record. Mr. Speaker, sir, I've agonized and reflected on the place of impeachment proceedings, not just in our country, but across the world and across other democracies. Mr. Speaker, sir, I've had occasion to look at the history, particularly of the United States of America, from the days of Andrew Johnson in 1868, Richard Nixon in 1974, Bill Clinton 1998, and Donald Trump 2019. Mr. Speaker, sir, I asked myself, what does impeachment proceedings seek to serve in a democracy? In my reflections, one of the clear conclusions is that it is a check and a balance through which the populace can then hold their leaders accountable. It is an avenue through which the populace can ask their leaders whether they're doing that which is in keeping with the social contract or the understanding that they had at the point of election or delegating their direct powers to those elected leaders. So in the context of Kenya, where then do we find impeachment? Mr. Speaker, sir, our history has taught us very bitter lessons. We remember the events that bedeviled our country after the 2007 elections. It is after those events that we gave ourselves a new constitution. In that new constitution, Mr. Speaker, sir, we found it necessary to, in an unprecedented way, speak about our values, speak about the fabric of our society, the things that pull us together, the things that we share as a people. The preamble to our constitution, in particular paragraph 3, reads, "We, the people of Kenya, proud of our ethnic, cultural, religious diversity, and determined to live in peace and unity as one indivisible sovereign nation," and continues so on and so forth. From those words, we realize what the thinking of the Kenyan people was right from page 1 of framing of our constitution. We then went to substantive provisions. A lot has been said about Article 10 of our constitution, to the extent that it speaks to the values that as a people we want to be associated with. We have dedicated a whole chapter of our constitution to the questions around leadership and integrity. It then tells us how central the values that we hold are to each other as a nation. Now, if we look at impeachment from that lens, then we realize and appreciate that impeachment then comes in to hold our leaders at an even higher pedestal, so that we have a tone at the top that is acceptable, a tone that gives us what has been called elsewhere political hygiene. We have had occasion in this country where people who have been in positions of leadership have been treated in what other people have thought has been harsh treatments. But it is because when there's a tone at the leadership to be set, it must be clear, it must be vibrant, and it must be the right tone. We've had leadership, people from the leadership who've lost their office because of having pinched somebody. We have people who have lost their offices because of utterances that were considered inappropriate. A slap has gotten somebody to go through a fairly painful process. It is because the slap is not necessarily the issue, it is the message that it sends. And so similarly, when we talk about our leaders, we then must ask ourselves, what does one wrong word do to the fabric of our society? It is on the basis of that background that we then consider the impeachment motion that is currently before this House. My colleagues who have spoken before me have taken us through the provisions of Article 150, 1B, which then speaks to the very grounds that this House should consider in whether to impeach His Excellency, the Deputy President, or not. I wouldn't want to go into those grounds because the record before this House contains material in support of those grounds. I would urge, Mr. Speaker, sir, that now that His Excellency, the Deputy President, has had occasion to present material before this House, that this House could consider in response to the motion for impeachment. When you retire to debate, to deliberate, we urge that you take into consideration the entirety of that material. We also ask that you also take time to look at what the mover of the motion presented before this House, as well as all the witnesses, including what came from public participation. That would give us an opportunity to, in a very objective way, reflect on what and how to deal with the questions that have been presented. I need not go into the specifics of each of the charges, but if I was to give examples, when we have a leader occupying the high office of the Deputy President of this country, somebody who is required by the Constitution to take an oath confirming or affirming to Kenyans that they will not divulge whatever comes out of secrecy, out of confidential conversations that come to their knowledge by virtue of the office that they occupy. If that person then defies that bond or that commitment that they've had with Kenyans, it is a gross violation. Similarly, when we have somebody occupying the space of the high calling of the office of the Deputy President, admitting issues that would amount to conflict of interest between his personal interest, his family interest, and which have financial implications. Again, our laws then dictate that those are reasons that would amount, would be sufficient to impeach such a Deputy President. We've had examples that have been given about utterances that have been considered to be unpalatable. Again, looking at the entire framework of what our Constitution anticipates, looking at what those words would mean to a man off the streets of Nairobi, off the streets of Mombasa, or any other place. If we all come to the understanding that those words taken in their natural meaning could cause some measure of discomfort, they are considered to be divisive, they are considered to be of such a nature as to bring or sow seeds of discord between us as people in this country, then it is the responsibility of this House to speak, and to speak on behalf of the people of Kenya, because it is one way of ensuring that there are checks and balances that flow from the constitutional powers vested in this House. Mr. Speaker, sir, as has been demonstrated through the many tons of documents that have been availed before this House, the cross-examination that has attended to the witnesses that have been before this House, and the material that has been placed by the mover, by all the parties who've had an opportunity to participate in the proceedings of this House, we have absolutely no doubt that this House is perfectly capable of making the appropriate decision in each and every of those counts. And just for emphasis, Article 150, Subarticle 1B gives us 3 grounds.
we do not have to have beyond one. Any one of those is more than sufficient to make the call or to pull the trigger on an impeachment motion. Mr. Speaker, with that, I rest, and we thank you for according us this opportunity this evening. Most obliged.
So, are you done now with your submissions?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, sir. We are done.
Thank you. Now, honorable senators, I'll refer you to the program. You will notice that after the closing statements from the parties, the Senate is supposed to move to a closed session to deliberate on the issues that have been raised. And that is pursuant to our rules of procedure. That is demanded of us by the rules of procedure. So at this juncture, I will allow the parties to retire as the Senate moves to a closed session. That closed session will take us not more than half an hour. After that, we'll come back. Once we are back, there's going to be a special motion contained in an order paper. That is the motion that will allow debate culminating into honorable senators getting the opportunity to cast their vote on each of those charges, of the 11 charges. So, Counsel for the National Assembly, you may now retire. Once we resume open session, of course, you'll resume your seats.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir.
The media.
ayumwanju wegetasini kya Ndizi TV na bogutubwate gwitira senjera y'omutandao ya www.ndizitv.net eri gutuligireria na bwigo gusonja mirubiri yito chinsemero 24 nyoranka na bogusonja gwitira sesimi yao yakoboko laptop smart TV eriyo wegokie Ndizi TV obwanso Gusii.
Omwanchu muliriria bwa televishoni ya Ndizi TV mbiyemo na sukoira chinsa chao na kuliriria televishoni yao na mbegemo yomunwa bweke Gusii bono onye kubwate nganende yonsi yokwe murungania wosoko menta na bogo toikera asugo twakiresimi asinamba 972 inyesato isanonemo ibere isato